I need to get another phone. I need to get another. But is O2? I'm on O2. I think it used to be Virgin Media. Or Virgin Mobile, or whatever it is. I don't really pay attention to these things. I just kind of direct debit everything and just muddle my way through it. You've seen the state of these post-match reaction pods. You've seen the state of this podcast, full stop. It's all out of sync and that. I'm not very good with the technical stuff, but I had to remember to replace my phone after that Scotland-Georgia game at Hampden, but it was peeing down and they were clearing the pitch for like 90 minutes. I could have been back here and get a change of clothes. I was telling you that and come back, but we just sat there, no knowing when the game was going to resume. But absolutely soaked to the skin, and getting soaked to the skin, and like it was in June as well, summertime football. It's like it's better weather. I don't think so, but. Ended up had to replace the phone because it got water damage in my pocket. I was just heading off on a holiday after that, so I quickly needed a phone to take on my holiday photographs, not to put them up on my Twitter page, because everybody's going to see every single thing I do in my life, because it's absolutely fascinating. You need to see it. And I just went into O2 shop and Bray ahead, and I says to the guy, mate, just use the cheapest phone possible, because I'm still paying off that phone. I had it in one of the plans, for the phone. And I'm sitting, and I can never get a signal at Ibrox, even if it's empty, even if it's like the cup game against Fraserburgh or something. It was 30,000 at that, but it's got a half empty, and it's been a while since Ibrox has been half empty. What a support we've got. I still can't really get a signal. I've got to wait until I'm outside. Even if you're in the environs of the ground, you've got to wait until the crowd kind of dies down before I can get it. It is O2. I remember clicking the wee thing when you click off Wi-Fi and you go into O2. But in the ground, it's terrible. And I'm sitting there, and folks say, we're eighth. I don't know. And they're showing us the phone and all that, and they're showing us their phone. Everybody else gets a great signal running about me and kind of taunting me. And it's like, we're eighth. I'm on the way eighth. We can't be eighth. It's just virtually impossible for us to be eighth. We're barely winning this game here. What do we talk about beating it? But I just wanted to see it was in at the end. Everybody's jumping up, cheering and all that, and folk are hugging us and all that. And I'm kind of half hugging them back because I don't really believe it until I see it with my own eyes. That wee league table, you go into the Rangers on the BBC Sports app. You go into the BBC Sports app and you sort it out. I know enough technically to pick my preferences, and you go in and I've got Scottish football and it's just football in general and Rangers. So basically always every time I go in I just hit the Rangers bit straight away, and the first thing it does, it comes out and it's tables, and I've just been hitting the tables, and for the last 4 months it's been 2 tables. It brings up the SPFL Premiership, and if you hit the Europa League it brings up, because we're in the Europa League group. There's just one group, 36 teams in that group this season, and we've always been much further down the Europa League table than we are the Scottish Premiership table, but somehow the Europa League table has always been the good news and the Premiership one's always been the bad news. It's been really weird, but it's been September when Dynamo Kiev, who finished third bottom of this group tonight, fair play to them. It's been absolutely terrible for Dynamo Kiev, the situation they're in, Shakhtar Donetsk and all that. The Ukrainian team's absolute murder, so well, it felt kind of charitable that we gave them a wee victory in the Champions League qualifiers this season. But ever since that night, it's been like Europa League. So we dropped straight into the Europa League group stage, and it was September. We played Malmo in Sweden, the champions of Sweden. We'd never beaten a Swedish club, even in one game, over the few times that we'd played Swedish clubs before. We'd never beaten a Swedish club. A major footballing nation, the Swedes, finishing second and third in World Cups and stuff like that, and getting the semi-finals of the Euros. And the club scene's nowhere near as good as the Scottish scene, but it just shows you it doesn't always mean because there's a good domestic scene that they're going to have a great national team, and vice versa. But quite embarrassing for Rangers, and there we were, Kurt Hamrin playing for Fiorentina when we lost our first ever European final, the first ever Cup Winners' Cup final played here at Ibrox, the first leg of the first Cup Winners' Cup final played at this stadium, the footprint in which I am currently standing. I would beat Malmo home, and ever since then I've been looking. I just get into the tables, the 2 tables, and the one time I actually really fucking need to see that table, I just kind of need to see it with my own eyes. And I'm standing there. Well, the place is emptying, and I'm giving them the lap on. I'm applauding the players because if we have finished it and the players look really happy, I'm actually in a situation where I don't want to insult the folk like my pals. I've been sitting with and sharing stuff with and getting on great with for years, sitting around about me at Ibrox. These folk are like family, and I don't want to say to them, have we though? Have we finished it? Could they be like, you call me a fucking liar? I don't trust you. I don't trust anybody in moments like this. Somebody wants to tap me money or sell me insurance or something like that. I just fire ahead. But somebody's trying to tell me that Rangers have qualified for the last 8. Sorry, the top 8, which is the last 16. Not the last 24 that's got a kind of plastic last 16 within it, but the actual real last 16 of this Europa League group says that we finished in the top 8 out of 36. When you think of all the clubs that are in that, I'm not having that. I need to see it in my own eyes. I just need to see it in my own eyes. And I can't get it up. I can't get this. I know what I'm saying. I can't get it up, right? You can take that. You can cut that bit if you want and put it over the internet. I don't really care because I was feeling pretty floppy. Well, everybody else was pretty rigid because I just needed to see it myself. I needed to know. I needed that certainty. And it was some guy actually giving Rangers an applause. I'm talking to folk around about me, like, the podcast, I'm talking to Colin and that, and how you doing, mate? That's great, Colin watches the pod. I hope you're going to give us a good, right up the night on the pod. I will do it. I'm still thinking, I don't really believe I'm going for a pee and all that, and everybody seems really happy. But I just need to, I'm standing outside, I'm leaning against the actual genuine Welsh red brick in the facade of our beautiful main stand on Emerson Drive there, and I'm looking at my phone, I've actually texted my wife, who's trying to go to her kit room. I'm saying, have we finished 8th? And she's thinking, you hit the fucking game. Why are you asking me if we finished it? Because I haven't actually gone for a source to understand. You're watching the telly, and I can see, the thing is, I can actually see Scotty Arfield and Alan Hutton sitting down to my right-hand side I'm in the verge of running down there, so I can see the tellies that they're watching, the screens they're watching, and shouting, Scotty, and he's going to go, no bother mate, I know 55 and all that, I'm a legend, I'll try and get an autograph later. No, Scotty, are we 8th? Did we finish 8th? Go on, he shows your phone. And I just basically go, I walked a bit further along in the drive, I was kind of standing towards the west end of the Edmiston Drive facade of our beautiful Archibald Leach main stand, and I gave it a wee refresh, and it refreshed. And Rangers are 8th. We're in the top 8. Do you know there's four of the teams that we've played in your schedule are also in the top 8. So it means the only 2 teams that beat us in this campaign are in the top 8 as well. They're above us. So it's the best of the best to beat us. We only lost to 2 teams. We lost 1 game at home, we lost 1 game away, we drew 1 game at home, we drew 1 game away, and we won 2 at home, and we won 2 away. It's absolutely bloody fantastic. Olympiacos, they're tucked in right above us. They're the Conference League holders, they're the European trophy, they're a reigning champion in Europe. And we've just went over there. They took the lead. The guy who was the top scorer in a European competition last season scores a goal against us. But it's Greece, doesn't matter what if they don't win any trophies, if they're not holding any trophies, they're still absolutely sensational when you go to Olympiacos, when you go to any of the Hoi Megalos, Troy, the big 3 in Greece. And we just come back at them. And Cyril Dessers, I love about that. There's a goal, there's an equaliser. And we're all raging at the end of the game because we've just waltzed into this. It's just, I think we're 8th. Thanks for fucking nothing, Philip. Thanks for nothing. Last night in the preview pod, I know I got a lot of things wrong. The most wrong thing about it was the length. But I made it perfectly clear that I've been watching Rangers for 40 years. It's my 125th game watching Rangers. And you think, 40 years, 125 games? No, actually, that's staunch. I know I'm not actually that staunch. I don't do a lot. I've only been to a handful of away trips in Europe. But the first game I saw 40 years ago, just over 40 years ago, was the night we played Inter and we beat them 3-1. In the old UEFA Cup. Ian Ferguson, couple of goals, David Mitchell, Alessandro Altobelli scored in the World Cup final 2 years earlier. He scores and I'm like, this is absolutely sensational. This is Inter. So that was me, a European champ. They'd won the UEFA Cup yet at that point, Inter, but they'd won their couple of European Cups in the 60s, so that was me straight away. A lot of Rangers obviously won the Cup Winners' Cup. I see Aberdeen, they'd won the Cup Winners' Cup by that point in time. I've seen Celtic by that point in time. So it's a wee collection of European trophy winners and European finalists. And I walked out, and I might have mentioned this, I was talking about this last night, there's 105 different clubs have reached one of the 3, now 4 distinct European club competitions since it began, as we currently understand it, back in 1955, and I've seen 76 of them in the flesh. I'm sorry, this is all I ever mentioned in these podcasts. I'm really sorry. I'm going to try and no mention it. I'm going to have a wee amnesty for the next round, me not talking about this. But there's 5 of them, 5 of the 29 that I still haven't seen are in. They're in this competition, and I couldn't believe that we didn't get any of them in an 8-game schedule. We didn't get any of them. Right, it's Eintracht Frankfurt, it's Roma, it's Athletic Bilbao, it's Twente, and it's AZ. Right? And so I want every possible opportunity to play these teams. So 3 of them have finished in the middle 16, which we are now going to miss out. So thanks for nothing, Philip. Thanks for nothing. It's the 2nd season in a row you've done this to me. So, apart from it's just Rangers this season, it's just been an absolute nightmare. This is your Fat Ek Philippe Clement for the second. No, that's your Fat Ek post Philippe Clement for the second season on the trot has let us think we're maybe going to have to go in through some sort of back door. We thought we were going to. Remember this time last season he was bumming up the Conference League. Not that bad if he fall into the Conference League. He sent us Jose Mourinho's got the Conference League trophy tattooed in his arm, so it must be all right. And we're thinking, well, if you hadn't, dropped 2 points to RS Limassol at home, then maybe we wouldn't have to worry about finishing third in that group and then dropping into the Conference League as the scenario was last season, and end up we beat Real Betis in Seville to get our first victory over the Spanish opposition in competitive football on Spanish soil in our entire history. And we completely miss out the Conference League. We miss out the knockout playoff round as well. So I miss out around the football then. And then he's done the same again. No, we drop into the middle kind of 16. I'm not that bothered. Middle 16 of the 36 team Europa League group this season. I'm not really that bothered about. I want the extra round. It's not in any way a disgrace to be in there. Some of the company we've got in there. I'm thinking that's fine. Just win this game tonight in that way. Or even the draw would probably just guarantee ourselves to at least be seeded. For the knockout play. He's missed it again. In the top 8. So that's 2 European ties Philippe Clement has cost us in successive seasons. I'm absolutely raging with him. I'm never going to get this. I'm going to have a heart attack or a stroke or something soon, aren't I? So I'm running out of time to get these teams. Reaction Pod coming to you in association with Jersnet. Check out Jersnet every Friday night live on YouTube Jersnet channel at 9 PM. Every Sunday night live on the same Jersnet YouTube channel at 9:30 PM. I'm sponsored by that. I'm also sponsored by the Remington microscreen. Shaves as close as a blade or your money back. I do own the company, but I'm not Victor Kayam. I'm Alec Anderson. On the bank of the river stood Ronning Bear, young engine brave. On the other side of the river stood his lovely engine maid. Little White Dove was her name, such a lovely sight to see. But their tribes fought with each other, so their love could never be. Dee-dee-dee. Running Bear loves Little White Dove with a love big as the sky. Running Bear loved Little White Dove with a love that couldn't die. They're nicknamed, one of the many nicknames Union Saint-Gilloise is the Apaches, and of course we're the Bears. We were the Bears that were running all over them tonight. That's Johnny Preston there from 1959 with an incredibly racist song. That's why the Washington Redskins aren't called the Washington Redskins anymore. I stayed in Cherokee. I stayed in the reservation, last April there, and that song would not get you've got to hear the backing vocals to really get just exactly how racist it is. But a big hit for my dad's childhood, so therefore it became a big hit in my childhood as well. It's one of the things. Well, we didn't mind these things in the old days. No, we didn't. That's the whole point. But an incredibly racist song from Johnny Preston North End, managed by Scott Simon. Scott Simon, who took them to the 1954 FA Cup final when they had a guy called Jimmy Baxter for Fife in the team. Preston North End, they lost that 1954 FA Cup final to West Bromwich Albion. I think that was the last thing Scott Simon did there before he became Rangers manager. Rangers' first manager in European football. Took us to our first 2 European finals, and this is where we are now. New format. So the first European final was the Cup Winners' Cup. Was a brand new competition. We reached the final. We reached the final here, and there's a brand new format. I'm always talking about how it's new formats that are involved. Rangers in the Champions League going to go live for the final when it officially kicked off in 92, 93. That new format, although the actual format itself had started the previous season. Got the road tested it, but it wasn't officially the Champions League then. Anyway, we got a goal for the final. The first year of the UEFA Cup. The first year the UEFA Cup took over from the Fairs Cup. We won the Cup Winners' Cup, and the first year of the Conference League, the first season of the Conference League 21-22, we got to the final of the Europa League. So it's kind of format changes in European club competition always suit Rangers. Seem to coincide with Rangers doing really well. And Belgium, I've been to Brussels. Have you been to Brussels? It's a strange place, Brussels. I don't know if Brussels is a strange place or if it's just me that was feeling strange at the time. I had to look it up. When did we go to Brussels? No, I've always got to look it up because it was so memorably unmemorable. I totally remember it, but we didn't do anything that. It's a cool place, Brussels. It's really chilled out and all that. A lot of trouble getting served in the boozers and what have you. The waiters are quite. You really need to get a hold of them. They really need to respect you. But like talking about, I've been to a few, I've been to Italy and places like that in Spain. Everybody's really well dressed, and I look like a total tramp. And Brussels, a tramp just makes you think of W.H. Auden. Who is it you get drunk with? Who did Auden get? It was going to the opera, wasn't it? Was it going to the Rake's Progress, the opera? Because he'd done the libretto. I'm sure he got utterly gutted. And ended up, he couldn't get in, and he had to. Did it with Stravinsky or something? Was it him and Stravinsky get pissed? Was it him and Chester Coleman? I can't remember, but always went on Musée des Beaux-Arts. I did go to the Musée des Beaux-Arts when I was in Brussels. We did go there, but I just remember it's a summer holiday. We're in Brussels. Everybody just, it could be Glasgow then. It's really, except like that George Square's a bit smaller, but a bit fancier. And I ended up sitting at a hotel with no windows, just looking into a big atrium. You pull the curtain shut in the atrium, watching the Open for, I think it was Royal Troon, because I'm sitting looking at Ailsa Craig. I mean, I grew up in Russell, so I used to see Ailsa Craig from my window any day I wanted, and I'm thinking, why have I come all the way to Brussels? So because I think we did a really busy year, just totally knackered, and we just ended up talking about Brussels during the day, going to various restaurants and things like that. But I always remember we couldn't even make the McDonald's for the breakfast every morning. It was just, we hadn't get breakfast at the hotel, wouldn't they book that? So just, I would just go to McDonald's and get breakfast, and we couldn't even get up in time to get the breakfast at McDonald's. Up after 11 o'clock every single day in this holiday. I usually love going to new places, but Brussels just is that, it's kind of strange, and the whole setup with the FITB as well. You know, you get the two different nations and absolutely two different languages. I think there's 3 or 4 different languages really, but you know, basically the Walloons and the Flems and all that, kind of the Dutch and the French kind of aspect to Belgium, and everyone's got 2 names, and you know, the national team is absolutely sensational players. But you know, I was thinking, is that why they've never quite went all the way and won something? They got to the final of Euro 1980. Obviously, they've been in World Cup semi-finals and Euro semi-finals since, but it's just, you know, kind of weird place. And tonight, that's, I mean, Union Saint-Gilloise, I always thought that the time Rangers eventually win a European tie that had been trailing by 2 goals for the first leg. No, we'd never done it before. We'd never overturned a 2-goal deficit for our first leg in our European history. Something Celtic did all the time, apparently. Glory. But we could never quite do that. We were always too organised. If it was going badly, it was just going to go badly, and that was it. And that was an end to it. And I always thought the night that we eventually did date, it was going to be sensational. You remember the Victoria Zizkov game when it went to extra time and all that, and we actually went in front. We did recover the 2-goal deficit, but then they pulled a goal back right at the end, you know. And when Stephen Close came up for the corner, we thought he'd scored for the corner, and that would have put us through a sensational step. I thought it was going to be something like that, total pandemonium. And then the night we lost 2-0 to Union Saint-Gilloise, who are kind of a strange club, and they're from Brussels, and they don't come for the Saint-Gilloise bit of Brussels. Well, they come from there, but they're lit in foot, like Partick Thistle or actually in Maryhill, that kind of thing. And then their stadium, they can't play in their own stadium. We did that this season as well, so a bit of sympathy there, but they can never play in their own stadium in Europe. Well, since they've come back into European competition 48 years. After they last qualified for European competition, the first team they played was us a couple of seasons ago, and we were 2-0 down to them, and we come back to Ibrox and we beat them 3-0, and it was kind of straightforward. It was kind of done and dusted quite early on in the second half, and all right, that's happened, and that was it. And we then beat PSV Eindhoven just across the border, and then we got utterly scalped in the Champions League. So I kind of mixed, even there, I kind of mixed feelings about the whole Union Saint-Gilloise thing. You know, they're kind of a hipster club. Their fans were really good tonight, really bright, really colourful, and of course love them now because we always beat them, and they get fantastic memories for us. So it's nice, Union Saint-Gilloise, and I would love to go to the Joseph Marion Stadium. The stadium, it looks really lovely in the kind of forest there, and in the forest area of Brussels, but I just never. It was like that. We've won that. We're in the last. We got into 8th place. It just kind of happened. I mean, it was great fun at the time. Bit nervous at the end. You know, I mean, as soon as somebody, Billy in front of us, he's like, "We're 8th, by the way." You know, there's like 10 minutes to go. We're 8th. You know, and I put my hand. I felt the outline of my phone. Yes, it was my phone. It was an exciting game, but not that exciting. In my pocket, and they scored. It's like I said, I'm just never going to tempt fate again. I can't even consider looking at my phone to see that we are in 8th place. I would never get a signal anyway. So I never really. I didn't. It's typical that we've got through in 8th place, and I didn't even. I didn't even know what had happened. I woke up this morning, the da-da-da, well, it's the blues, it's the R and the blues, it's the R and the B, it's the red and black socks, and that way when I grab the phone, because the phone, you don't look at the phone at night time because you're not going to get to sleep, but then in the morning, it's actually advisable, get the phone, because that way it kind of gives you the wee boost, the daylight thing that goes on with the phone, it'll wake you up, you know. So I just do a bit of doom scrolling first thing in the morning to get me going. Another way folk used to have a cup of coffee for the kind of Minute Maid thing, and I'm looking at it, and it's, you know, because of the algorithms and that, about Luther Vandross, and it gets this thing saying it was a Guardian review of a Luther Vandross documentary that's just come out right now. And it was saying, they're talking to Mariah Carey about Luther Vandross. So the talking heads, it's no, maybe they talk to talking heads, but no, they have the talking heads. For I think Jamie Foxx is talking about them, Dionne Warwick, Patti LaBelle, and that kind of stuff. Talking about Luther Vandross, one of my musical heroes, an absolute legend, and it's talking about how they do. You know, obviously it's really well done. It's somebody who usually does great documentaries about politics and things like that. So it's a proper. It's not a cheap thing, and it treats his sexuality. Never actually came out, Luther, but everybody's fairly convinced he was gay, and you know, he could never really find that special love while writing love songs for the whole world. It made the whole world fall in love. Really cruel world. And weight problems as well, which I can totally relate to, obviously. And I'm thinking, see if they talk to me. I don't know if they are talking to Mary J. Blige, but if they talk to Mary J. Blige about Luther Vandross, I'm just going to wet myself. This is just going to be the thing. I don't care what I've got in it. It's showing in cinemas in the UK. It's on the big screen. Oh, I've got to see this on the big screen. I think the only documentary I've ever seen in a cinema was was it Once Were Kings? The one about Muhammad Ali, the Rumble in the Jungle, with not George Plimpton and on it. So that I'm going to go and see it. I've got to go and see this. I will cancel everything. I will move heaven and earth. I am going to see this in the cinema. And it says showing in the UK and Ireland in cinemas for one day only. And it was Thursday, the 30th of January. And I'm like, oh, because I'm sorry, Luther. There is only one thing that I will just not cancel anything for. There's one thing that I have spoiled holidays for. There's one thing that I've spoiled wedding anniversaries for. Not even my own wedding anniversary, just into folks. But I've got to see the Fabba. I can't be here. I've got to go to the Rangers, and it's Rangers in Europe, and I'm going to be there. I have to. Sorry, Luther. I'll be on television, obviously. It'll come out in DVD, and it'll be streaming, and I will see it, and it'll be. But then it's called. Is it Never Too Much? Never Too Much. He's my favourite Luther song. Everybody's favourite Luther song. Never Too Much. I'm just like, that is the things I do for Rangers and to watch Rangers in European competition. And I was late. I nearly said in the podcast last night, what else did I get wrong in the podcast last night? There was a few, I forgot to mention it, Kieran Dowell. Kieran Dowell is away on loan to Birmingham. Don't worry, there's no kind of, they don't have to buy him. There's no clause there that they've actually got to buy him. So there's a good chance Kieran could come back. Rabbi Matondo, I didn't know that, but I've just seen that Rabbi Matondo's away to Hanover as well. This is good stuff. We're getting rid of the folk off the wages. Philip Clement could be getting a job in Belgium if he carries on like this, but I feel we might get Anderlecht in the next round. But I was like, one of the things I should have mentioned the pod last night. I didn't even mention what I thought the formation was going to be tonight or who I thought was going to play. But I was like, I need to talk about. Sorry, there's a lot of folk kind of about just now with the scarves on, the Union Saint-Gilloise scarves, and I'm terrified because another mistake I made tonight is I didn't take my badges with me. I almost take some badges, and I know it's a bit cheap, but I take the ones that you get through MyGels. None of the MyGels always give you a badge when they get your package for renewing every season. But I was thinking they're handy for when foreign fans. I might bump into foreign fans and they'll have, if somebody comes up and gives you one of their scarves or something like that, you're like, oh, you can have something back, mate, because nobody's getting my scarf. I'm keeping my scarf. I thought until a few months ago, and somebody got in touch with the pod to tell me they'd won the same. I thought it was a completely unique Rangers scarf, but nobody else is getting it. Don't care how far you've travelled, but I would get you a badge, and I'm kind of worried that you're going to come here. What was I talking about? One of the things I was going to mention was like it's on the QR code, folks. It's on your phone. The ticket's on your phone. Going to make sure you've got the boy in front of me was trying to get in for the Spurs game, or was it the Fraserburgh game? We're going absolutely mental, couldn't get in. And I'm like, you've got the nightlight on. You've got your nightlight on. I do that sometimes because you're looking at your phone too much. Don't want to ruin your eyes. Don't want to get the old cataracts. You take the nightlight off. Maybe not bright enough, mate. Maybe it was a wrong ticket here and there. I had nothing to do for about tea time tonight. I had my tea and plenty of time on it, and I'm going to get along there. I know I'm going to get along there early because there's always folk, all these clowns that don't know how to operate the QR codes. They don't even know the tickets on the phone. They got all their smart cards and that. Or folk who are just visiting, coming to their first European game. And they're saying that the crowd, it's not going to be a sellout tonight, but I'm going to get myself along there. I've learned my lesson. With everything that's gone wrong this season, with the tickets on the phones, folk just don't know how to work it, and there's massive queues outside. You're going to end up missing a kick-off if you don't get yourself organised early. Even the Fraserburgh game's getting a bit ropey, getting in time for kick-off. So I left quarter of an hour early, and the traffic was absolutely mental. Lots of roadworks and stuff like that up at the back end. It was Govan, really, and so I was getting stuck in traffic and that, but I eventually got myself parked a bit further away than I usually would, but I thought it's still a good time, and I thought I'll get there, and I had, I see it on the phone. I've still got my Fraserburgh ticket downloaded on my phone, so I had that there. I'm trying to print it off to have a paper souvenir. I keep forgetting to actually print it off in the house. I can see that one UEL ticket. That's my UEL, Union Saint-Gilloise. It's the UEFA Europa League, and I clicked on that just outside the Craigton Grocers, and it was the Spurs ticket. It was a ticket for the Spurs game, and I'm like, I had to go into my emails to find and it's no. You put in the search for email, search for Rangers ticket, you get millions of stuff this season because I've had so many tickets, even for home games, even if you're not going to away games, it's all tickets for the ticket office. So the continual credit card scheme isn't just updating your smart card. You've got to keep Scottish Cup, League Cup, and we've made a lot, because Philip Clement usually gets as far in most tournaments as he possibly can, and I couldn't find and I'm standing there and time's just ticking away. So by the time I actually found, I started to wonder if I actually bought the ticket for the Union Saint-Gilloise game. I had to get rid of the Spurs ticket, had to bin that, and I eventually find it, and I get along, it's like 5-2. It's 5-2 when I get into the queue, and honest, the queue was just bent round the corner. It was, it'd come right back to the the wee wall and the fence overlooking the community park, the AstroTurf pitch, and it was running alongside that. And I was going to the double, and I thought, no, my actual turnstile was going in a bit quicker actually. So I ran up there, and the reason it was so short was because folk were leaving it, because folk were stuck. Folk had no clue how to get in. It was big guys that weren't in any way going to just get out the way and let other folk through while they worked out how to use their QR codes, and the stewards want to be in any help. So I got in there 9 minutes into the game. I missed the first 9 minutes, and to be fair, I was waiting for the first a massive roar, another massive roar, 2-0 Rangers, and you've missed both the goals. That was going to be the story of the night. But I got in there, sat down, and Belgium strange, and that was really, I was all flustered as well because I turned up early but ended up getting in late. And the Rangers are shooting towards the Copeland, and Leon King's playing it right back, and Tav's playing it centre half, and then next thing I knew, Ross McCausland was playing it right back, and I'm thinking this is weird, this is strange. So that's why your post-match reaction is. I know I'm always telling you it's not so much a match report as a post-match reaction, but it took me a long time to get into the game. It was like like Ross McCausland coming on. He did a lot better than me getting into the game after coming on kind of early but late, and Union Saint-Gilloise are wearing a different away kit for what they wore the last time. I think it's a different away kit combination for anyone they've wore this season. I haven't seen them against Slavia Prague. I didn't see the highlights when they get knocked out the Champions League qualifiers by Slavia Prague, but I think it's the first time they were wearing, it's like dark blue, lovely kit, dark blue shorts with the white top with white socks, but there's a kind of yellow and blue hoop, if you like, kind of half hoop across the middle of the white top, and kind of strip effect. The shorts looked a bit black, they're really dark navy blue, kind of Spurs navy, and then that made the blue bit of the stripe look a bit black. It looked like a good Dumbarton strip. It looked like a proper kind of Dumbarton away kit. Dumbarton kits could be quite smart. But Union Saint-Gilloise was looking quite tidy. The guy playing at the back for them, the number 26, 29, he looked about 7 foot tall, and the other strange thing was yesterday you saw I hadn't really had a chance to, as I was leaving the house, Reporting Scotland was on, and the fella said, I've just got some team news in, and Leon King starts for Rangers, and I did swear out loud in front of my wife, and I actually had to apologise, because it was proper, I have to apologise to Leon King for that as well, and I'm thinking if Leon King's have to play at centre half tonight, and I think that sums up why a lot of us get angry with not just Philip Clement, but any Rangers manager, because I think we just need things to be nice and straightforward in a way that we can understand them as football fans. And I'm basically driving along here thinking Leon King's going to be at centre half. Oh well, Souttar's obviously he's obviously still injured and all that, and Balogun obviously isn't he playing, and that was just a lot of shite yesterday. The manager was just trying to out vibe out-vibe them, Union Saint-Gilloise, even though they've got two centre-halves that were suspended last week by Nick Walsh, who's a total Rangers man. But you get there and it's no Leon King's in it, right, and Tav is in it centre-half, where he played at Old Trafford and did alright, so he's probably going to be alright at Ibrox playing that centre-half. And I thought, that makes sense. The man's just mixing and matching. We want to understand it in straightforward terms. The manager knows how to mix and match stuff. It's not a big deal. And goes Tav to centre-half and then goes to... And I eventually started, man, you're watching the pictures yesterday, you saw the guys in training, says Philip in yesterday's pre-match presser, so you can, I'm not wanting to tell you exactly who's fit, but you get a right idea. And he's talking about the pictures of Czerny and John Souttar in training. Did you think that it was going to be John Souttar come on as a sub for Czerny just after the hour mark tonight? No, it makes all the sense in the world, because in Ross McCausland, he just moves to wide right, and Tav goes back to right back, and John Souttar slips in. It made all the sense in the world. He's just getting what he can out of these players. He knows that Czerny's got an hour in him. He knows that Big John's got just over half an hour in him. That's fine. On they come. I don't know what happened there. I actually don't know what happened. We seem to... It was kind of a very bitty game. There's a lot of injuries going on. We had this Leon King is in there straight away as I'm taking my seat, and the fella seems to have outstripped him down our right-hand side. But Leon catches up, makes a great tackle, and I don't know if it's the way he's fell or whatever. Next thing he's concussed and he's getting taken off the park, and you're thinking, Jesus Christ, that's just... even like the subs are getting subbed and the replacements are getting replaced and that kind of thing. And it's just par for the course for Belgium and for Rangers this season. Maybe that's what happens when you're managed by a Belgian. And we ended up... what was it actually happening in the park? Did something happen before we actually scored the goal? I can't really remember any of the highlights. I just remember watching that big fella at the back and thinking they're just going to put the ball into our box, and that fella who's that kind of 7'5" centre half is just going to go in and nod stuff in. And they had a few chances and we had a few kind of chances. And next thing I know, it was Tav. I thought it was Czerny at the time. Just shows you how out of it I was, how spaced I was with the whole thing. But it was Tav is out on the left-hand side, and he floats the ball to the back post, and it's Nico Raskin, the smallest man in the park. Not tonight, he wasn't. A very tall, a very little and large team, Union Saint-Gilloise, but he's Belgian. We're managed by a Belgian. We're playing Belgians. He's at the back post. He's heading it home. I can have a slight variation on his intervention in the Old Firm game in the second half. But it's the same end. He's up to Copland. He fancies it, big Nico, and he nods it in the back post. And I was saying to you, even I knew enough about Union Saint-Gilloise last night to be able to tell you in the preview pod that they don't like balls from the wing. Balls come the wing into the middle of their box. They can't really hit the back post. Very like the goal Braga scored against them last week. And it was Nico Raskin nodding it in, and it's 20 minutes gone, and we're winning. And then Egeman seemed to get injured as well, and he was done for a while, and it was really bitty. We then had, I think we did another chance. I can't remember what happened. And then two Union Saint-Gilloise players, they hit into each other, but they've got players doing injured, and I think one of them went off. They put the ball in the back of your net. They seem to walk the ball into the back of your net and get poked under Jack Butland, but we were standing about as if it was offside in the VAR check. Was it verification du but? That's how you know you were in Europe. That was coming up on the big screens. It took ages, but no, fair enough. The goal was ruled out, so it was still 1-0 to us. Cyril Dessers. Then the ball goes over the top, and Cyril Dessers goes through and slams it into the back of the net, and you're like, everybody's kind of standing up going, yeah, can I be just a bit, and I thought, well, it looks offside. Everything looked offside, but at the same time, this competition, when we got to the final, 2021-2022, we're playing Brøndby. We played Brøndby at Ibrox, and we beat them at Ibrox, and the big Roof scored the goal, and everybody, including Ali on co-coms, and everybody in the stadium just thought, no, that's off. I think even Kamar Roof thought it was off when he put the ball in the back of the net, but then they drew the lines and it was on. You're hoping it wasn't. Cyril Dessers was offside with that goal that we put in the back of the net. They went through on goal. I think it was a fella that scored for them against, was it Twente or AZ? Twente and AZ are like Crawley and Stevenage Borough as far as I'm concerned. I can never really tell them apart, even though I know that AZ were runners-up in the 1981 UEFA Cup final. The same year they won they lost it to Ipswich. The same year AZ won the league for the first time. AZ 67 Alkmaar, as they were known then, and then they won it again. Them, and what didn't help is the first time, or the only time, Twente of Enschede, who lost the 1975 European Cup Winners' Cup final, UEFA Cup final to Borussia Mönchengladbach over two legs. Jupp Heynckes scoring a few goals now on a hat trick. and put us out the European Cup Winners' Cup in 1977-78. The time that they actually won the league was, I think it was the year before or the year after AZ won the league for the second time. So I can never get my head round what one's what. I know Twente play in all red, and I think they're the ones with the bigger stadium. It's like 10,000 more capacity, and they play with not AZ play with white shorts, and I think it's Lammers plays for Twente. Anyway, what am I talking about? Why was I talking about Twente and AZ? The guy that scored for USG last in this competition, in this group stage. He scored the winner against them over there in the Netherlands. He went through on our goal. I think we kind of gave it away. They went straight through and goal, and he put it wide of the post, or was it over the bar? It was a terrible miss anyway. And it was brittle. It was a very brittle game. It was a bitty game. It was also a brittle game. Nico Raskin and was shown great signs of being a great player, and he was cutting stuff out, but then they were counter-cutting us out any time we tried to get stuff built up. The usual kind of mid-press, gamble, 50-50 stuff. Some was going for us, some was going against us. We were having bad moments, they were having bad moments, but they couldn't finish. We could finish slightly better. We came out in the second half, and it was 55, I like to say 54 minutes, because that's a year Scott Simon joined us, our first manager in European competition, but I'm pretty sure it was 55. I don't know if anything significant ever happened in Rangers history with the number 55 on it. But it's Cyril Dessers. He goes good on that left-hand side. Big Cyril, new lease of life. We're starting to love him, aren't we? We're just generally starting to love him. He goes down the left-hand side and doesn't stop going down the left-hand side. You don't got a lot of faith that he's going to do it. You're getting more faith that he's going to do it. He's actually getting really good on the left-hand side. If you could just cross it before you hit the byline there, Cyril, that would be absolutely fine. And he crosses it. Does he cross it or does he cross it? He puts it right on the feet of Václav Černý. Again, it's a ball from wide against USG. They've always got a good chance of succeeding, and he puts it right across the box, right onto the feet of Václav Černý, who tucks it away for 2-0 to Rangers. And at that point, I remember I'd predicted 2 each, so I was really keen that we got a third goal. I predicted last time it was going to be a 2 each draw written all over it. And then Václav Černý hits an absolute worldie, pings it off the post, just comes off the post, hits it from outside the box, a cracking shot, and that was the lot from him. On comes big John Shooter for Černý. As I say, we kind of mixed and matched, and we rumbled things about a bit. And then after that, it was just substitutions. Union Saint-Gilloise were throwing the ball about, and say Billy in front of me, he says, I think we're going 8th. And I looked, so I don't say things like that, you know. I didn't really believe it. I went to look at my phone, and they put the ball into, was it a free kick? I can't even remember. As I say, it's a strange thing. I'm all over the place here. They put the ball into our box, and it was Kevin Mac Allister. It was Alexis Mac Allister's brother, Kevin Mac Allister, that I talked about last night in the pod, and Multiple Man 78, Multiple Man 78, he gets in touch today and says, I can't believe you didn't talk about Home Alone. Because I was talking about Kevin Crunchy Mac Allister, played for Hibs and Falkirk and that. But no, and I missed a total open goal there, didn't I? You know, Home Alone, it's Kevin, Macaulay Culkin's character is called Kevin Mac Allister. I totally missed that out. I've only seen Home Alone a couple of times really in my life, but you still really know that. And I feel as if that was some kind of bad karma that I laid down, because I missed the open goal, but he puts it into the net. No, again, it's the smallest man in the park. I think he might actually have been the smallest man in the park, because he nods this thing, and I felt as if Jack Butland was jumping down the way. As he went did he think it was going to go over and didn't really try to get to it? I don't want to sound like I've got it in for Jack Butland these days, but I thought he could have done better. The Rangers' defence is standing about as if it should have been offside, but in it went, and I thought, yeah, well, it doesn't even matter if we manage to hang on for the win. There's no way the machinations required for us to finish in 8th place, us having gone from a +7 goal difference down to a +6, that'll probably be enough. That'll probably be enough to let 2 teams go above us into that top 8, and then it was just wanted to see Rangers winning the game and completing the group in fine style. And it got a bit wild. Paul Incio come on for Bajrami, who again got better in the second half, I think. He came on for Bajrami, and Zach Lovelace come on for Igaman, who I think quietened down a bit. I think he quietened down a bit, but as I say, I'm not the best observer in the world. I need to watch the whole thing back in the telly after he took his booking towards the end of the first half. He likes a booking in this tournament, does Hamza. But exactly, Lovely's come on for him, and I feel as if we lost a bit of penetration and a bit of ability to hold the ball in their half of the park, and they were really coming on strong, starting to move it about. They had a lot of kind of beardy guys of medium to small height who seemed to be congregating right in front of me on on going down our left hand side, and they were starting to give me a bit of the fear. But no, they couldn't quite. They missed a few chances that they could have done better stuff with. But no, we managed to do the business and not just win the game, not just make sure we're progressing, but actually missing out. There's this round of, it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody that going straight through and going into the proper round of 16. It's actually a last 24, which is, it's a last 24 in all the tournaments this season. Well, I don't know what's happening in the Conference League. It's a bit shorter, but. Yeah, I know the Champions League, it's a last 24, but 8 of the teams out of the last 24 in these competitions, certainly the Champions League and the Europa League, 8 of the kind of better teams, the better clubs, the bigger clubs, the posher clubs, the more powerful clubs, the more chillaxed, handsome and nicer smelling clubs. We just tend to sit and it's no oh my God. The wee sweepy guy is basically he is stalking me. There's no two ways about it. It's not that big house that you can win the £10 million house that you can, if you need to get the lottery ticket thing, and you can win this luxury mansion in the middle of the Yorkshire countryside. It's a place like that these 8 teams in the last 24, the top 8 teams in the last 24, we just all kind of sit in there and the heating's up full blast. We're all dotting about in the trendy designer shorts and the sliders and stuff like that. And oh God, it's roasting in it. And we're having drinks and that. We're having the kind of cocktails and stuff, mojitos and that. And we're sitting in the veranda and we're looking out onto the other 60. They're dancing for us. On you go. You go and play. You go and play for us. The teams, the kind of sweaty teams, the kind of grubby teams. The other kind of middling clubs that end up in the middle of these groups, that's the best they can really manage, and they've got to go and play in this plastic, second last 16, and we'll pick up the dregs, whatever's left, we'll get them in the actual last 16, because European football's trendy again. European football's it's good again, isn't it? I don't want to have this. It's a bad trait of big wins, football podcasters and the football fans in general. When you've had a big win, you start giving it, right, I've got a few scores to settle. It's not that, because I don't, obviously, as you can tell by this podcast, I don't have a clue what I'm talking about. But I've been talking about how we should really appreciate our European achievements and what we've been doing for the last few years in Europe more than we actually do. You might have noticed last night there was another Scottish club. They managed to make a wee comeback kind of really early in the game. When a lot of goals were scored really early in the game. But they were getting beat by a couple of goals. They were getting beat by one goal, and then they conceded a penalty, but the fella kind of missed it in extraordinary circumstances. But really it was over, and then the other team made it 2 goals. The other team scored their second extra goal into injury time, and that was it. But apparently it was the most exciting game that anybody's ever seen in their life, and it was a great advert for the game, and it's what European football is all about. But it was 2 teams that had won the European Cup once each. I think they've had one European final between them in the last, that'll be well over 40 years. But we played 6 days before that. We were in a stadium that was much bigger, and playing a club between us. I think in the last 26 years, the 3 Champions League finals and 4 Europa League finals between it, and we didn't actually go behind decisively in that game until 2 minutes into injury time, and I felt as if that was a much better effort and a much greater achievement in terms of losing a game as a Scottish club in Europe. And you'll tend to find that's what's going to happen. I think a lot of us have been beaten down by the fact that Celtic are getting your face about the fact they're beating you domestically. It's closer to home and all that. And I've had arguments with Rangers supporters that I know saying, when I'm saying, but look at what we've done in Europe. But that doesn't. That always counts. That counts so much more. Celtic is a fantastic achievement for Celtic. The Champions League obviously is a lot harder for them to get into the knockout stages of the Champions League in this new group format. They'll get into that middle 16, and that's great in the Champions League. That's probably equates with us getting into the top 8 of this. I think it's, what have we got? Athletic Bilbao. So we've got Lazio on top of that group. So we've got Serie A, Bundesliga, 2 English clubs, Spurs and Manchester United, still in there. And I think it's basically a case of Olympiacos and ourselves are the only ones in that top 8 that aren't in one of the big 5 leagues. And of course, Olympiacos are a European trophy holder. I told you, we drew away with the Conference League holders. Celtic drew away with the Europa League holders, and they drew away Atalanta. And I was saying we need the Jambos. I was joking about Hearts really need to get a draw away with Real Madrid. I don't know how they're going to manage that in the Conference League, but Celtic could end up getting Real Madrid in the draw tomorrow, and they could end up, getting that draw with Real Madrid. So all 3 European trophy holders have drawn at home with a Scottish club in European competition this season. But you will find that as Celtic finally do better, they get a chance of getting into a proper last 16. No, really, they're going to get Real Madrid or Bayern Munich, but they haven't been in the last 16 of Europe for 12 years, I think it is. They haven't been a quarter-final of European competition for 22 years, I think it is. That's maybe an explanation as to why European football, European achievement by Scottish clubs has taken a back seat, as Rangers have reached 2 European finals since Celtic managed to get into the last 16. Enjoy this. Savour this. This is absolutely fantastic. I think I said out loud I would take us finishing 3rd in the SPFL Premiership this season if we could go to win at Old Trafford, because that's going to stuff people remember a lot more than whether it was us or Celtic that won the League Cup or the Scottish Cup. And I would take us finishing 4th in the SPFL Premiership this season if we could get to another European final. I doubt that. I doubt that's going to happen. But you should cherish your European football, because when it comes to European football, as far as I'm concerned, you can never get too much. Too much, never too much, never too much, never too much, never too much. Except, for my patter, my pods are going on far too long these days, folks. So I'll cut this one short. Enjoy your Thursday night, enjoy your Friday. I'll come at you a wee preview for the Ross County game on Friday or Saturday. Enjoy the draw tomorrow when it's confirmed who we're going to get. And Roma, Twente and AZ are on the middle bit. They're on the middle bit. So, but we could get Twente. There's a chance we could end up getting Twente if they work their way through in this into the proper last 16. The last 16 for winning clubs, for big clubs, for posh clubs, for good-looking clubs. But most of all, enjoy your next 3 midweeks. I think it's 4 weeks yesterday before we have another midweek game now, because we've missed this round out. It's going to be Kilmarnock at Rugby Park, 1966-67 Fairs Cup semi-finalists. Kilmarnock at Rugby Park is going to be our next midweek game. That makes a massive difference to us in terms of getting these players back fit, getting the squad back to any kind of fitness, and knowing now that we're through to this round. It's not going to be a super glamorous tie. It's not going to certainly be like a Champions League kind of tie in terms of TV coverage, advertising, etc. But it's a majorly late stage of European football, European competition for a Scottish club. So there's going to be money in that, and that gives us a few days now before the end of the transfer window to hopefully get some players in. But more valuable than that, perhaps, is that your ears are going to get a bit of a break over the next few midweeks, and I'm going to start a wee taste of that just now by ending this right now, folks. Rangers, top 8, pat yourselves in the back, Gers, pat yourselves on the back, teddy bears, because you've made this happen. It's been a long, hard season, but I always knew it was going to get. This manager knows what he's doing. Cheers, troops.